Dear students, this is the second video for learning the chapter Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. In the last video, we have discussed and tried to understand up to the speech of Nelson Mandela. So we will continue learning that chapter, and after the speech, in the next paragraph, Nelson Mandela says, "There was a great roaring sound, and all they looked upward, and they saw over the Union Building many jets and helicopters were flying together." And he says that it was not just a display of military forces, a precision of demonstration, but they were showing their loyalty and support to the newly elected government, freely and fairly elected government. Then he says, just moments before, the generals of military force and police, they came bedecked with so many ribbons and medals on their chest. Bedecked, one word is given there. Bedecked means covered. So these military officers, when they get promotion and also when they do some extraordinary works, they get medals. So these military generals came decorated with all these medals and all that, and they saluted the newly elected president. Nelson Mandela says, if it was few years back, then they would not have saluted. Instead, they would have arrested him. But now they had to show respect to their president, so they saluted and promised their loyalty and support for the government. Then, at the end of that paragraph, he says, again there was a display of military force, a group of jets, and the name of that jet is given there, Impala. Impala jets came together and they were in a chevron shape. Chevron means V-shaped. In V-shape, they made a formation and they left behind smoke of different colors, indicating the South African flag. Different colors. The colors black, red, green, blue, and gold. That is the different colors that we see in the South African flag. So this much is the content of that particular paragraph, and some words you may find in that paragraph like a precision, the military force precision. Precision, when you hear, you may not understand, but when you go for the adjective form of that word, you may understand it. So precise, you must have heard this word, precise. Precise means exact or accurate. So these military people, and when they perform something or when they demonstrate something, then they will do it in an accurate way, in a very disciplined way. So that is the meaning of that word. Then another word you find there is bedecked. Bedecked, already I said, it is covered. No, their military officers just were covered with so many what is called these medals and ribbons. Then one word you will find smoke trail. So trail means lines of these different colors of smoke they have emitted, showing the South African flag. So this is the meaning and content of that particular paragraph. For more understanding, please read that paragraph. Next paragraph is a small one, and in that Nelson Mandela says that on that day, both white and black, they sang together both the national anthems. That means up to that time they were having separate national anthems. Whites were having their own national anthem, and for black there was another national anthem. But on that day there was no difference, and they sang together both the national anthems. And up to that time, they were having a very low opinion about each one's uh, national anthem. Black were not having good opinion about white people's national anthem. The whites were not having good opinion about black people's national anthem. Though same country they were living, they were not appreciating and supporting and respecting each other. So on that day, both black and white together, they sang both the national anthems, and Nelson Mandela says that both of them were not knowing exactly the lyrics of national anthems. That means white were not knowing the lyrics exactly or completely, the black ones. The black ones were not knowing the exact lyrics of white people's national anthem. Anyway, they sang together, and he hopes that in within few days they both will learn the lyrics and they will continue singing together both the national anthems. In the next paragraph, Nelson Mandela says that in that day of inauguration, his mind was filled with the sense of history. One word is used there, overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means filled with or full of. So many historical events came to his mind, and he remembers that how this system of difference, apartheid system, came to exist in his own country. It all happened after Anglo-Boer War. This war took place in the year 1899 up to 1902. That means it happened before the birth of Nelson Mandela. So this war was between the British and the two free states of South Africa. And at the end of the war, the states of South Africa had to surrender, and the British won the war. One of the states' name was Boer, so that is why this war is known as Anglo-Boer War. So it was the victory of white people. So after a few years of this war, there was a domination of white people in South Africa, and slowly it became a structure of the society. The white people started dominating the black people, and the black people were treated very badly. And it continued so many years, this harshest and the most inhuman difference or system of society continued for a long time. And Nelson Mandela says that it took so many years to overturn this system, to wipe out this system. For that, even 8 decades of his own life it took. That is what he says. He says that it took so many years to remove this system and replace a society in which all are having the rights and freedom regardless of their skin color. So this is the content of that particular paragraph. The next paragraph, Nelson Mandela says that the freedom what they have got is the result of or the fruit of thousands of South African people's sacrifice. And he says those people's sacrifice cannot be repaid or calculated. And he feels so sorry and sad that those people are not there now to witness the fruit of their sacrifice. And he says what he has done is just the continuation of those great people, what they have done for achieving this freedom. So this is what he mentions in that particular paragraph. The next paragraph, Nelson Mandela says that the apartheid system left a very lasting and deep wound in the mind of South African people. And he says it will not take generations, but at least some years for curing it, or those wound will not be easily removed. But he says those oppressions had some positive effect because some people emerged there or came up, some strong people, courageous people, and fought against this system. And he mentioned some of the names like Oliver Tambo, Walter Sislu, Chief Lutley, Yusuf Dadu, Bram Fisher, Robert Subukov. Like that, some of the names he mentions there. And he says those people were having extraordinary courage and generosity and wisdom, and they fought for the freedom of South African black people, though they faced with torture, though they faced with oppression, but they never took a step back. And he says his country is very rich with diamonds and costly stones and minerals under the soil, but he says the real uh, diamonds or gems of South Africa are not those diamonds that are lying under the soil, but these kind of people, those who had extraordinary courage to fight against that discrimination that was existing there, those were the purest diamonds of South Africa. This is what he tells in that paragraph. In the next paragraph, Nelson Mandela says that the meaning of courage he learned from those comrades. Comrades means companions or friends. The above mentioned, the last paragraph, uh, some of the names were mentioned. From them only Nelson Mandela understood or learned the meaning of courage. And he says that he witnessed or he has seen some men and women taking risk when they have got an idea, or for an idea or for an aim, people risking their life. And the real meaning of courage he explains there. And I think I must read that lines. You can also underline those lines. It is very important. Sometime a question can come. According to Nelson Mandela, what is the meaning of courage? So very philosophical thing, so please underline it and I will explain it. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So beautiful words. So I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Triumph means what? Winning over, victory over. So the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So he says, courage is not the absence of fear, but courage means having fear, but winning over that fearful feeling, or victory over that fearful feeling. In simple example, I can make you understand it. Suppose imagine there is a snake in your room and you do not know, and you enter into your room. Then we cannot say that you are a courageous person because you are not knowing that there was a snake in your room. So simply you will enter. But we can say you are a courageous person if you know that there is a snake in your room and still you venture to enter that room, and afterwards you may chase the snake or you kill the snake. That is the rest of the thing, but that means you have fear. You know there is a snake, it is dangerous, but still you step into that room and chase that snake or kill that snake. Then we can say that you are a courageous person. So he says that the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but a person who conquer that fear. Conquer means what? same meaning, winning over or having victory over something. That's called. So this underline, okay, and there can be a question. These are some of the important thing. Keep in mind, if a question comes, according to Nelson Mandela, what is the meaning of courage, or what Nelson Mandela learned from his comrade about courage, then you can write this. In the next paragraph, he says that nobody is born with the feeling of hatred feeling, hating others. This hating others or to hate others, actually it is taught by others. And he says that if someone is taught to hate others, then they can be taught to love others also. When we look around, we see this is what is happening. When we take birth, we do not know anything. We don't hate anyone. But later on, we fall into so many bondages, like a religion, political party, this and that, and people start sometime teaching us to hate others. So that is what Nelson Mandela says. We are not born with this feeling of hatred, but we are taught later on to hate others. And if it is in that case, then love also can be taught. We can be taught to love others. And he says, sometime in the prison, when he was in the prison, uh, he and his friends were pushed to such a level of suffering that they cannot suffer that much. Beyond the limit, they were getting torturing and suffering in the prison. But at that moment, only for a second, maybe for a second, a policeman may show a little kindness, and that was enough for them to again continue pushing forward or going forward with the same spirit. So he says that man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. So he says there is a goodness in every man, so it can be hidden sometimes. Sometimes people can behave very cruel way, but there will be some moments they will have to show that humanity, they will have to show that goodness. So he says the man's goodness will never be extinguished completely. It cannot be finished or extinguished. That is what he tells in that paragraph. So students, I know you are getting bored, so it's a quite long chapter and not that interesting, but it's a important chapter. You have to understand the content, keep in mind some of the things. So anyway, we will not continue now, we will wind up now, and the rest of the chapter we will see in the next video. So keep watching, keep learning, and also note down the important points. And in this video, the most important thing is that about courage. According to Nelson Mandela, what is the meaning of courage, or what understanding he got about courage from his comrade. So that you can specially note it down, underline where it is mentioned in the book, and keep on reading. So meet you in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.